I enjoy horror games. Now, I enjoy horror stories. I grew up listening to like Mr. Nightmare and those kind of things, but I do not enjoy horror movies. I don't. Now, the reason I don't is because it's not my experience. A horror game and a horror game, you are in control of the player. You're moving around, you're interacting with objects, you're walking and checking your corners, you're checking behind you. You can analyze all of the sounds, all of the colors, all the noise, and that creates that feeling, that scared feeling, that horror feeling. Now, when you're listening to horror, like Mr. Nightmare, yes, you are hearing the words and you're hearing what is happening, but you're imagining the scenario in your head. You're imagining the place, you're imagining the people, you're imagining the characters and what's happening. With a movie, though, yes, they can still be good. They're just not my favorite medium. You're just watching what is happening. The characters are figuring everything out for you. Horror movies are something that you can just shut your brain off to and just watch. Yes, you'll get jump scared and that's scary, but very, very rarely, especially in modern media, very, very rarely do you truly feel that horror. There's a very big difference between horror movies and scary movies. That's a big difference. And that's the reason I like horror games so much. Horror games, you are in control. You are in control. Now, yes, sometimes they can be very, very repetitive. They can be very, very cliche, but so can movies. So can movies. Now, it's important to distinguish between horror games and like horror adventure, horror action. Does that make sense? Like take Resident Evil, for example. Resident Evil 2, especially the remake, Resident Evil 2 remake might be in my top 10 favorite games of all time. I love Resident Evil 2 remake. It's fantastic. But I don't know if I would necessarily call it a horror game. I think the first like hour of the game is considered a horror game. But once you visited most of the wings of the police station and, you've gotten, tons of pistol ammo and you've gotten the shotgun, it more and more becomes like an action game. Another example of this is Prey 2017. That is within my top 3 favorite games. For a first time player of the game, first time experience, it is a horror game, especially the first like 2 hours, 3 hours. It is a horror game. And you can still get that on repeat playthroughs. But deeper into the game, when you've unlocked the weaponry and you've unlocked the tools and you've unlocked perks, it becomes more action adventure, which is fine. I still love that game. It's, like I said, top 3. It's fantastic. And I'd probably do a standalone episode on it at some point. But it's more of an action game. In a horror game, you should be defenseless. There should be no way for you to fight back. In Resident Evil, you just pop the zombies in the head a couple times and they're down. Yes, more will come, but you can deal with the threats. Now, sometimes it requires a lot to deal with the threats. The lickers or whatever they're called take so much ammo to kill, but you can still kill them. You can still kill them. But in an indie horror game with no weapons, you're only given a flashlight. You're only given a flashlight. That is where the developer of the game can really work their magic. They can really, really envision the story that they want to convey, the feeling they want to convey. And good developers are artists when they do that. And I think that that's why we've seen more recent years that video games have become a medium for storytelling. Now, yes, I know that's been happening for a really, really long time, but it's becoming more mainstream. You know, a lot of people still write off video games as just fun, entertaining, but then Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. And now that's not the first like story game, obviously, but that one was entertaining even for people who had never played video games before. And that is rare. That is rare. Someone who doesn't enjoy playing video games is probably not going to pick up Resident Evil. They're probably not going to pick up Prey. They're probably not going to pick up any of these indie horror games. But the fact that Red Dead Redemption 2 can pull so many people into it, people who have never played games before or never played that genre of games before, and tell a timeless story is just beautiful. And I'm waiting for the Resident Evil, or not Resident Evil, sorry. I'm waiting for the Red Dead Redemption 2 of horror games. Something that is so fantastic and so above and beyond everything else in the market that it will become like a mainstream success. No, I'm not smoking crack. I do believe that one day it will come. You know, I think eventually with advancements in games and like virtual reality, you'll have like full interactive experiences in virtual reality. You know, some of that exists already, but it's not really accessible. You know, virtual reality, I feel it kind of died out. I never got one, or I had the one that you put your phone in. I don't know if that counts, but I feel like it kind of fell off a little. But that is a topic for another day. Think on this. What is your favorite horror game? What is your favorite horror game? I can't even think of one off the top of my head, if I'm being honest. I think I'm still waiting for like the perfect one to come along. I think that's what I'm waiting for. So I appreciate you listening to this, and I will see you tomorrow.